Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the country. I'm Dr. Katrina Ferguson of the WOW Prayer Ministry, and we are starting our 31-day Proverbs challenge today. And that simply means that we know that there are some things in the book of Proverbs that can absolutely change and shift your life for the better. So we're going to spend the next 31 days just coming to you and sharing with you some of our insights and some of the things that we read or see there. You will meet some of the other women of worth that are part of our prayer call that meets every Monday through Friday, 6:15 a.m. for worship and 6:30 for prayer as we go through this process. So super excited that you are with us. And let's go ahead and open up the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 1. So Patty, are you going to come out and share something with us this morning?
Okay, I'll try to get on.
Okay.
Hi.
It's good to see you. I'm not sure why you're not showing up on there it goes.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm excited to start this study on Proverbs. And I was reading early this morning and having gone through the Proverbs a couple of different times, there are just some things that stood out for me. And if you're in the Zoom room, as opposed to on Facebook, you can actually send us a chat if you have something you want to share, and we'll just add you to the conversation. So Proverbs chapter 1, well, why did we choose the book of Proverbs at all? Well, we chose Proverbs because it is such a no-nonsense book of the Bible. And people, regardless of what they believe, know that the Proverbs have weight. Okay, Proverbs written by Solomon, who is known to be the wisest man ever in the world. And that's a whole nother conversation, because if you find out what happened to Solomon after the Proverbs, you'll realize that there's some things missing in that equation. But in any case, we're talking about Proverbs because we want to have a conversation about what we're listening to, what people are telling us, and what they're telling you about living, right? The things and philosophies that we have built our life around. The Proverbs, they're pretty poetic, they're very vivid, they're very thought-provoking, and the things that are said there, they're said all around the world. We don't always give credit to the Bible. Sometimes we give credit to ancient literature or something along those lines, but we really know that the book of Proverbs talks about options and choices. You can go with this or you can go with that, right? You can choose wisdom or you can choose folly. And Solomon describes a fool in the book of Proverbs as someone who acts unwisely or imprudently. He or she is a very silly person, right? So anyone who doesn't consider pursuing wisdom as an important thing could also be considered a fool. So the definition of wisdom, right? The quality of having experience, knowledge, and or good judgment. The quality of having experience, knowledge, and or good judgment. To follow wisdom, to pursue wisdom, typically you have to give up something. You have to give up foolishness for one, but you also have to give up your ways of thinking, your traditions, the things that you've been doing currently, so that you can pursue wisdom and begin to do things differently. So let's ask the question, and you can put it in the chat or in the Facebook group. Is it worth it? Pursuing wisdom. Is it worth whatever it takes to get it? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to make the changes that are necessary for you to actually operate in wisdom, with wisdom in your life? Because remember, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. The only way to have more is to become more. And the way that you become more is to find people who are more and do the things that they do. Begin to operate the way that they operate. So Patty, you have something before I hit a couple scriptures?
Yes. Yes. One thing that I really like when we're getting in depth with the Proverbs is, as you were saying, we're going to understand principles and value and intellect. And the Proverbs is so profound because it's improving the way we think and the way we act. So those was just some of the nuggets that I so love about Proverbs, and it resonates with me. How am I? Not how the other women he's dealing with me as a proverb woman. So I'm excited about this, and you giving some good stuff.
Awesome. That's good stuff. I think one of the biggest things that I got out of this chapter of Proverbs is that we should be seeking wisdom rather than advice. Very often we call our friends. I mean, and sometimes if money is the issue, we may call a friend who doesn't have a whole lot of money and ask them, what should I do? And what can a broke friend teach you except to be broker, right? So we always have to consider our audience when we are in the process of seeking wisdom, and avoid advice of people who don't have what you want. Now, some of the decisions that we're making, they don't even require wisdom. They simply acquire knowledge, right? What medication do I take? Some decisions, they require compliance, but they all, right? We need to exercise wisdom in all of our decision-making. Wisdom is a Hebrew word. The Hebrew word is hakma. It means being moral, making the right choice, even when there's no clear moral law telling you exactly what to do. In my word, I would say wisdom is mastering the gray areas, mastering doing the right thing when it's not clear what the right thing to do is. And that doesn't come from our flesh. That comes from our understanding of a higher power of godly wisdom, right? We can do the right thing in our own minds and it'd be the wrong thing for everybody that we care about, unless you're operating in wisdom, in which case all things are working together for our good because we love him and we're called according to his purpose. Patty?
Yes. You were
Oh,
asking me something? You were asking me something?
I opened up because I thought that you had some, I saw you opened up, I thought you had something.
I'm gonna try to receive. But
Okay.
You know, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. But Dr. Katrina, some people, I'm getting some texts that some of them are having problems getting in. So I don't know why that is an issue. So you'll see me coming in often to try to help somebody get in.
Yeah. Well, if it's a password, the password is wow. And otherwise they can actually go to the Facebook group and pick up there as well.
Okay, I'll let them know. I will do that.
All right, so looking at the book, let's look at chapter 1, verse 3, right? Okay, receive instruction in wise dealing and the discipline of wise thoughtfulness, righteousness, justice, and integrity. When I was reading that this morning, right? We'll just go 2 more verses. The prudence may be given to the simple, and knowledge, discretion, and discernment to the youth. The wise also will hear and increase in learning, and the person of understanding will acquire skill and attain sound counsel so that he may be able to steer his course rightly. So we're in a season where nobody really knows what to do. We're actually getting conflicting messages, even from the powers that be. So if you don't know to come or go, to stop or go, which way to go, left or right, then where do you go for this knowledge? Well, that's why we're seeking wisdom. This is why we have to pursue wisdom in all of our getting. And those who don't pursue wisdom, the Bible, it continues and it says that if we don't get wisdom, then we'll find ourselves in situations with people doing things or being a part of things that are they're not beneficial to us or to our legacy. And the Bible says that a wise person leaves an inheritance for their children and their children's children. How do you leave an inheritance for your children and your children's children when your whole life has been valued around the dollar and now the dollar is worthless? The whole entire economy is moving to a digital economy. If you're not pursuing wisdom and understanding of how that operates, you're not going to be able to leave a legacy of prosperity financially for your children and your children's children. You're not even going to be able to tell them what should you do in this situation, what not to do in that situation. Because guess what? The answers that are right for me are not always going to be the answers that are right for you. So we have to pursue wisdom for our own situations. And that's literally what we're going to be talking about as we go through this chapter. We're only going to be about 15 minutes with you each day in the middle of the day as a moment to just stop and really think about what's important. And that is getting the wisdom necessary to live on purpose and to do our God-breathed destinies. All right. So does anyone else in the room, in the Zoom room, have anything they want to add? Oh, y'all gonna just clam up and be shy today? Really?
You look really cute.
Thank you. All right, well, I'll keep
You
going
look
then,
cute.
because I mean, I love this book of the Bible. Wisdom cries aloud. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. She raises her voice in the markets. Now, as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, when I'm making decisions about, do I get involved with this? Do I invest in that? There's not always going to be a black and white answer. Sometimes we need wisdom and we need discernment in order to make the right decisions. But you know what that means? That means we have to come outside of ourselves. Very often we think that we are the beginning and the ending of all things in our lives, and that's just simply not true. There is a God. We were created for a purpose. He did have a destiny in mind before we were placed in our mother's wombs. There is a system of justice that operates in this earth realm. There are principles that operate regardless of what you believe, principles like gravity. And it is our responsibility to spend our lifetimes figuring out what we were created to do, why we were put here, and then finding the wisdom to operate in that purpose and in that destiny. So I just want to encourage everyone, just like the last verse of the chapter says, hearken to wisdom so that we can dwell securely and in confident trust without fear or dread of evil. That's really the reward of operating in wisdom. So this has been day 1 of the Proverbs Wisdom Challenge, and we'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great day.